Andre, you're naturally a southpaw, but of course,
Yeah.
that left hand was basically like a right hand, that jab. But two guys who fight as southpaws, Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao. Everyone, Nonito Donaire, that was an awesome picture y'all had. He was telling me that both guys being southpaws is more of a detriment to Pacquiao because a lot of his game functions on getting to that blind side against a righty. What do you think Manny can do to pull off an upset? What are your thoughts on the fight?
I mean, what's working against Manny is that Manny is a guy that he relies on his engine. He's a guy that you wind him up and you let him go. He's getting older, man. He's got a lot of fights and a lot of tough fights, especially late. I still think he has, a good amount left in the tank, but how much? The rest for him is good that the break that he had, but it's not good for rest. It's good for your health. It's not good for the rest factor. So we're gonna see glimpses of the old Manny, but it's not gonna be the Manny we've been accustomed to seeing, and that's gonna work in Spence's favor. And Spence has to prove that he's got another gear, right? Because I think Manny's gonna force him to fight there. So we're either gonna see Spence rise to the occasion, or we're gonna see him get left behind. And I believe we're gonna see Spence rise to the occasion. So even though Manny's got all the accolades, I give Spence the edge in this fight, and he beats Manny Pacquiao and dominates Manny Pacquiao. He's gonna be atop that pound for pound list.
It seems like Tim and Nonito, they were talking about just that jab is going to be one of the hardest things for Manny to deal with. What's the keys to this fight?
I think it's more than that. I think it's the jab. I think it's people because of the way Errol goes about his business in the ring, people can misread him. Right? It looks steady. Like, okay, what? He's
basic.
He's physically strong, and fundamentals are really hard to deal with, man. Especially when you start to get tired. And he's consistent and he's steady. It's like raindrops; they just keep coming. Right? He's not really a combination puncher. He can throw combination, but he's a pick'em fighter. Hop, 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 hop. You watch his mitt work with his coach. That's what they do. Hop, 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 and that's what he does in the ring. So I give a slight edge to Errol Spence, but Errol Spence is gonna have to be better than he's ever been, and Manny's gonna have to work really hard to deal with that young boy.
Do you feel for Crawford in the middle of all this, and what can he do best for himself? Wow.
Well, I think just personally, I think as a competitor, I think Crawford wants the big fights. I truly think he wants the Mannys and the Errol Spences like he does. But I also know that, and not to, be in his pockets, but, he's had a good career, he's made good money, and Crawford reminds me of myself in the sense that he's not going to live or die by boxing. If boxing ended today, he would be fine. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean? So
he's a family man like you. He's got like 5 kids.
Yeah, he's responsible about his business outside the ring, and that's just from talking to him and from what I've observed and from what I've heard. So he wants the big fights, but he's not. I don't think he's crying about it, right? Mm-hmm. I think we're more fans and media are more concerned about it than him. I would like to see him get a marquee name. I would like to see Spence's, if he beats Manny Pacquiao to be able to get the Crawford fight. I think they got to fight because I think this is going to be a big miss if they don't fight. A big miss for both of them.
A thing where they look back at it once they're older, maybe not now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Of course, these fighters are still going to do what they do, and they're going to make money, and they're going to build a legacy. But I just think it's going to be a big miss. It's going to be one of those fights that never happened, that should have happened. One of the big misses in boxing history because they're both in their prime. Why can't it happen? You see what I mean? So.
Well, apparently there's a lot of reasons why.
Well, I mean, I'm saying like nobody's going to care about that 20 years from now, 10 years from now.
Right.
They're just going to say, why didn't it happen? It should have happened.